Hi, I'm Dinu Kumarasiri on behalf of Open Source Help Community. As a part of our weekly Open Source Contributors chat, we have Satabdi Das here. She's a software engineer with more than 7 years of experience building verification software for the semiconductor industry. Recently spent 3 months at Request Center where she was busy learning assembly, debugger internals, and compiler details. During that time, she also contributed to Bitfunnel, an open source text retrieval system, and started learning Go. Long back, she was an outreach intern with Genome Foundation. She's passionate about gender equality in the tech and in the word outside tech. You can ask your questions by posting them in the event page or during the live event. About gender equality in the tech and in the word outside tech. You can ask your questions by posting them in the event page or during the live event.
Hello.
Yeah, so Satabdi, so how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Do you want to say something before I start asking questions?
No, I think you pretty much mentioned what I'm up to this day, so it's good.
Okay, great. So I'm starting to ask questions now. So I'll start with your first open source contribution.
Okay.
So what was your first contribution to an open source project and to which organization?
My first contribution was towards Genome Foundation. I was selected as an outreachy intern. I contributed to their geocode glib library. It's I wrote as part of my internship. I wrote, it was a 3 months paid internship, and as part of that internship, I wrote the client and server library for the geo IP based geocode location systems. So
Okay, so what were the major difficulties you faced while starting with your contributions?
One of the major difficulty was I never contributed to open source before that, although I was working. But the first major difficulty was to come up with what shall I contribute to. Now, OPW actually makes it easier for the people because they on their website write down a set of tasks that these need to be done. But even then, when I contacted my mentor, Bastian Nocera, he asked me, what do you want to do? I mean, these are the things, but what do you want to achieve in 3 months? So that was really difficult. But I was actually lucky to get started with OPW. So he also helped me with how can I plan my 3 months project. So how can I plan my first open source contribution. So that was one of the major difficulties for me.
Okay, so how did you found about Outreachy at that time?
At that time, it was through one of the mailing lists. I think I was part of the open source mailing lists in India. And somebody posted about OPW. It just started at that time. Maybe it was 1 year, or I mean, it was not very old at that time. I contributed. I participated in 2013, I guess. So I got to know from one of the emails, and then I applied.
So a question about Genome Foundation. So how can someone get started with contributing to genome projects?
If somebody decides to contribute to GNOME, there are a few channels, I would say. One or two, if you're a student, then GSOC is a good channel, I believe. If you're a woman or belongs to the LGBTQ community, then I think OPW, which is now known as Outreachy, is a good channel. Other than that, if you do not fall into any of these two categories, then I'd say visit their website and then join their IRC channels and look at their bugs. And first, because GNOME is a big project, it's a huge project, so you have to decide where you want to contribute, which area, which technology interests you.
So what are the technologies in GNOME?
And I contributed in C at that time, but people were contributing in other languages too. But glib is mainly written in C, so C is a big part, I guess. But now I haven't contributed to GNOME for a long time.
Mhm.
It's been 6 years, so I do not know. I'm sure they must have many other, areas, and it doesn't always have to be technology. Also, during my OPW batch, people contributed to documentation, people contributed to marketing, so it completely based on your interest. You can decide which area to contribute to.
Okay, so what open source organizations or projects are you involved with these days?
Right now, I'm not contributing to any open source project. Apart from, I have started writing something of my on my own.
Mm-hmm.
But when 3 months back, I was at RC. I just finished my fall batch at Record Center, which is a programmers retreat in New York.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, it's a wonderful experience, and
Yeah,
everybody
we
should.
will start questions on that a little bit earlier when after we finish questions about open source.
Okay, so during Record Center, I sort of dabbled in and out of Bitfunnel, which is a open source open source text retrieval system. It
Mm-hmm.
is actually written by a few people in Microsoft, so it actually belongs to Microsoft, but they are open sourcing it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's in C++, and they are using the modern C++. I made a few contributions to that project during that time.
Yeah, so you have experience with contributing to two open source projects. So, what is the one thing you would have done better while starting out that you would like to share with the people who are now starting?
Um, there are so many, yeah, because it was a steep learning curve for me. I think for everybody who starts contributing to open source project. But to name a few, what would I have done better? Um, I think a more interesting question for me would be, what have I learned actually from
Mm-hmm.
those experiences? Because I really cannot answer
Yeah.
what I have done
Okay.
better. What have I learned from those projects is, apart from the tools and technologies that you learn, for example, how to use Git, what are the systems of, sending a pull request, sending a patch,
Mm-hmm.
getting your code reviewed, and then working on the review feedback, all those areas, fixing a bug, all those
Yeah.
areas of maintaining, being a better programmer and maintaining good code quality.
Mm-hmm.
Those, I think, everybody learns. But apart from that, is I got to work with some very, very skilled and experienced programmers in my during.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have very limited open source contribution, but both those projects has still have wonderful developers. My first project, where Bastian was my mentor, he was wonderful. I learned so much from him: how to write good code, and he was so meticulous with his code reviews. So it was
Mm-hmm.
very good experience learning from him. In my second project, the Bitfunnel, during that time I got to work with Dan Liu, who is working in Microsoft and who is one of the main developers of Bitfunnel. And I also got to work a little bit with Mike Hofcroft. He's a very senior person and in Microsoft, and he's Dan Liu's manager. And same experience here. I mean, the main thing which I find really wonderful is when you work with really good developers, really experienced developers, your level increases, your expertise increases gradually in small things. For example, you're writing something and they review your code, and then you see that there's a better way of doing that, or there's a better way of coding something, writing something, thinking something. I think those are the things that I took away most from my open source contributions.
Okay, so let's talk about Recurse Center.
Mhm.
So a lot of our attendees have asked, what is Recurse Center?
Mhm.
So what is it about?
Okay, Recurse Center is an educational retreat for programmers in one sentence. It's in New York. It's completely free, but so by free it means you do not have to pay any fees to get into it, but you have to bear your living expense in New York. So, and New York is a costly city. So the only expense, and usually it's 3 months long, but there is also 12 weeks long batches. People who cannot take 3 weeks vacation from their 3 weeks off from their offices. They can do 6 week batches too. So during that time, you have to bear your own cost. Although RC does give some scholarships to women and a few underrepresented groups. Uh, it's a community actually. RC is a wonderful community where it's I think around 1,000 people strong now,
Wow.
and I can give you a few sort of things. I mean, in Hacker
Sure.
News or in anywhere I find something which has been some very nice and exciting technical article, and then I then find, okay, this guy is associated with RC. This guy has done
Oh.
RC or is doing RC. So community, being part of such community is you continuously learn. Not only you learn about being a better programmer, but being a better human too. How can you increase the motto of RC to me is continuously improving, continuously developing yourself to be a better version. And it's a completely competition free zone, or um, it's mostly people it's always people help each other to learn. Nobody judges you for the mistakes you make, and there is no competition that, okay, I have written this thing which is better than yours. It is, you have written this thing, let me learn from you. I do not know this yet, let me learn from you. So this is a wonderful environment to learn and have fun along the way.
Wow, that's cool. So how difficult it is to get accepted to the Recurse Center? So what would you say are the criteria to get accepted?
Hello, I think we have Dinu got disconnected. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, you're back.
Yeah. Okay.
So the question I asked was, how difficult is it to get accepted? What was
Uh,
their application process like? What is their criteria?
it's actually not difficult to get accepted in RC. The application process is they write it very clearly in the website. But let me just give you a brief overview. The first is a Skype call, a video chat, where the interviewer will talk to you and will try to see how good a fit you are for RC. How you can benefit from RC and how RC can benefit from you. The second, once that is you clear that, and in that interview, I think they ask questions like, why do you want to do RC? What do you want to do when you are at RC, etc. Once you clear that interview, then there is a pairing session. Pairing is a big part in RC where in the pairing session, you along with the interviewer will work on a code that you have written, and you will be working together on it, maybe to add some feature in it, or maybe to fix a bug. So if this you clear these two, then they decide whether you'll be accepted or not. And at the very beginning, I think you have to fill up a form, and you have to mostly essay type questions. Why do you want to do RC? What do you want to work on? What do you want to learn? And they ask you to write a very simple programming question. But that's not difficult at all.
Okay, so what made you choose Recurse Center? Did anything trigger your motivation?
I wanted to do RC since a long time. In fact, I came to know about RC 3 years back. I came to know about it from many people actually. Sindhu Sundar, who is an OPW intern who did internship in my batch, she did RC. And then Sumana Harihareshwara, she used to be a mentor in OPW with Wikimedia.
Yeah, with Wikimedia. Yeah.
Yes, she's a very well-known open source contributor and very helpful person. I met her at Era Camp, Bangalore. She also spoke highly of RC, and RC seemed like I somehow feel very uncomfortable in groups where people are not helpful, and it's more of a competition and showing off than helping each other and growing together. RC seemed to be a completely different community from that. It has wonderful social rules. For example, no feigning surprises. For example, many of the times you'll hear discussions like among developers. You hear discussions like, "Okay, I don't, you can do this in Bash shell," and then somebody will ask you, "Okay, what is Bash shell?" And then the person will say, "Oh my God, I can't believe you call yourself an engineer and you don't know what is a Bash shell." Now, this kind of this is called no feigning. This is called feigning surprises. Now, this feigning surprise doesn't help anybody. It certainly doesn't help the person who asked the question in the first place, because he or she will never ask the question. And if somebody doesn't ask questions, he or she will never learn. So this sort of social rules make RC a really nice place and fun place to learn. Hello? I think again somebody got disconnected. Let us wait for her then.
Okay, Satabdi.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got a break in your career and you joined back in. So how did you decide when it is the time to take the break?
There's no time to take a break. I mean, I know people who didn't take any break and they are still working and happy. I know people who want to take a break but still couldn't do it. In my case, I felt strongly that I wanted to do something else. So I took a break, and I spent 3 years after that on that project, and it didn't turn out the way I expected to be. So in the end of those 3 years, I was wondering, what should I do? And I was really not clear, what should I come back to software? Should I come back to programming? But at that time, OPW happened actually. It was end of those 3 years, and I saw this call for application for OPW outreach. And it looked like a very nice thing where they said that the goal was to help women contribute to open source, help women learn. So I applied to OPW, got accepted, and I had a very nice experience there. And it was so nice. Then I decided, okay, let me again join the software industry, and then let me see how it goes.
Okay. So that's all we have got for you today. So do you have anything more to tell us?
No, I think what you're doing is really wonderful because even though nowadays there are programs like OPW, GSOC, but talking to people who have done something or who have similar experiences makes us a community and help each other, which I think is a wonderful effort that you Tapaswini and Tony are doing. So best of luck, all the best for your future endeavors.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.